Marcus Chen's hand trembled as he signed the divorce papers. The ink hadn't even dried when he looked up at the woman across the table, the woman he'd shared 5 years of his life with, the woman he thought he knew. What he didn't know was that Elena, his quiet, modest wife, was a billionaire CEO who'd built an empire while pretending to be a receptionist at her own company. She sat there in silence, calm as ever, one hand resting gently over her stomach, a subconscious gesture that hinted at the secret she carried. She was pregnant, with quadruplets. 4 children Marcus didn't even know existed. Outside, his new love, Sophia, was waiting for him in the car. Elena's best friend, smiling like victory was hers. Marcus thought he was trading up. In his mind, he was leaving behind simplicity for ambition. But the truth was, Elena had built Martinez Global Industries from scratch, turning it into a multi-billion-dollar powerhouse while he complained about failed business ventures. She had hidden her identity to test his love, to see if he could love her for who she was, not for what she owned. But when she discovered his betrayal, she didn't cry. She didn't scream. She planned her revenge quietly. The rain hit the apartment windows hard as Marcus laid down the pen. He didn't notice the sadness in her eyes or the way she looked softer, fuller. He thought she was just tired. Maybe from the arguments. Maybe from stress. He didn't see the glow of pregnancy or the way her fingers lingered protectively over her belly. Elena folded the papers neatly. "I hope you find what you're looking for," she said softly. Her voice was calm, not broken or begging, just final. That tone, that poise, was one of the things that had drawn him to her in the beginning. But now, 5 years later, he saw it as cold, distant. He tried to speak, but she lifted a hand to stop him. "You don't need to explain again. You've made yourself clear." She stood and walked to her desk, the small wooden one she always kept spotless, where her expensive laptop sat. Far too fancy for a receptionist. He never questioned it. Never questioned why she traveled so often, or why she sometimes came home exhausted after clerical work. He just assumed she had dreams too small to fit his own. "I'll have my things out by the weekend," she said without looking at him. Marcus hesitated, a strange emptiness tightening in his chest. But then Sophia's voice echoed in his mind the words she had whispered the night before. "Elena's holding you back, Marcus. You're meant for bigger things." He nodded to himself, convincing his conscience that he was doing the right thing. He grabbed his jacket and headed for the door. As he reached the hallway, Elena's phone buzzed. She glanced down. A message from her doctor. "Congratulations! All 4 heartbeats are strong. The babies are developing perfectly." Her eyes filled, not from fear but from the ache of what could have been. She had planned to tell Marcus tonight, before she'd found out about Sophia. Before she came home early from a business trip, actually a board meeting in Singapore, and found them together on the couch she'd bought, in the home she'd paid for. That memory still burned. The shock, the betrayal, the heartbreak that didn't even come with screaming, just silence. 3 weeks ago, she had walked in with a secret, their secret, 4 babies. But she never got to say the words. She'd simply turned away and left, checked into a hotel, and cried for 2 days straight. After that, she made a decision. She would give Marcus the freedom he wanted. She would give him the divorce. But she would never tell him about the babies. As he turned to leave, Elena looked at him one last time. "Marcus," she called softly. He stopped. "I kept a lot from you," she said, her tone steady, calm. "I'm sorry for that, but I loved you, completely. I hope you and Sophia are happy together." Her voice didn't shake, but his did. "Elena, if things were different—" "They're not," she said, cutting him off. "You wanted a different life. You're getting it. Goodbye, Marcus." The door clicked shut. She sank into her chair, hands resting over her belly. 4 tiny lives, her reason to be strong now. She opened her laptop. The divorce papers gave Marcus nothing. The prenup she had insisted on years ago had protected every cent, including the billions he didn't know existed. Her phone rang again. Victoria's Song, her COO and one of the few people who knew the truth. "Elena," she said, breathless. "The Wall Street Journal is about to publish the story. They've connected the dots. They know you're E.M. Martinez and Marcus Chen's wife." Elena took a deep breath. "Let them run it." Then she paused, her voice hardening. "Actually, no. Move up our announcement. Friday morning. Full reveal. Name, face, everything. Let's control the story." Victoria hesitated. "Are you sure?" "Yes," Elena said, her voice like steel. "The world needs to know. And Marcus needs to see exactly what he threw away." Outside, Marcus climbed into Sophia's car. She leaned in and kissed him. "It's done?" "It's done," he said. "Finally," she whispered. "Now we can live the life we deserve." Marcus smiled faintly, though something in him felt hollow. "Did she put up a fight?" Sophia asked, almost gleeful. "No," he muttered. "She just let me go." "Of course," Sophia said smugly. "She knows she can't compete with me." Marcus forced a smile, but deep down, something about that didn't sit right. He pushed it aside. As Sophia drove, Elena stood at the window, watching the taillights fade into the rain. She picked up her phone. "Richard," she said to her attorney. "Speed up everything, the divorce, the public announcement, and dig into Sophia Lambert's finances. Every detail." She hung up. Friday morning came like a storm waiting to break. Backstage at the Grand Meridian Hotel, Elena stood tall. Her hair was perfectly styled, her makeup flawless, her custom navy Armani suit embracing her growing bump with power and grace. She looked like the woman she'd always been, just no longer hidden. Her assistant whispered, "5 minutes, Miss Martinez." Elena nodded, her hand resting over the 4 heartbeats that kept her steady. The press room beyond the curtain buzzed with journalists, cameras, and whispers. The mysterious CEO of Martinez Global finally revealing her face. When Elena stepped onto the stage, the flashes exploded. Gasps rippled across the room. No one had expected her. "Good morning," she said calmly into the microphone. "My name is Elena Martinez Chen. For 7 years, you've known me only as E.M. Martinez, CEO of Martinez Global Industries. Today, I'm here to tell you my full story." Across town, Marcus sat in a coffee shop, half listening to Sophia talk about the gala they planned to attend that night. His phone buzzed nonstop. He ignored it until Sophia suddenly froze, her face pale. "Marcus," she whispered, "you need to see this." He looked up, annoyed. Then she turned her phone toward him and his world fell apart. On the screen was a live broadcast from Bloomberg News. Elena stood at a podium, glowing, confident, radiant. The headline burned into his brain. "Mystery CEO E.M. Martinez reveals identity to 8-year-old billionaire Elena Martinez Chen." He felt his heart stop. Elena was still speaking. "I built Martinez Global Industries from a $200 million inheritance to its current $2.8 billion valuation. I chose to remain anonymous to protect my private life. I wanted to know if love could exist without wealth. I met my husband in college. He knew me as a receptionist, which technically I was at my own company." The room on the broadcast erupted in questions, but she lifted a hand for silence. "I'm not here to air personal matters," she said. "I'm here to announce our expansion into 3 new markets, and to share one more thing." She rested a hand on her abdomen. "I'm 14 weeks pregnant with quadruplets." The room gasped. Cameras flashed wildly. Marcus dropped his coffee cup. It shattered on the floor. He did the math in his head. 14 weeks. Before Sophia. Before the divorce. His babies. He stared at the screen, trembling. The woman he'd abandoned was carrying his 4 children and running one of the biggest corporations in the world. Beside him, Sophia's phone blew up with notifications. Her social media was already exploding with headlines. Sophia Lambert, best friend of billionaire Elena Chen, caught with her husband. Her face went pale. The cafe buzzed with whispers. People recognized Marcus. Some took pictures. His phone rang his mother, his father, his brother. Messages flooded in. "Marcus, is it true? You divorced her? The Elena Martinez?" He couldn't move, couldn't breathe. On screen, a reporter asked Elena if the father would be involved. "That depends entirely on him," she said smoothly. "My children deserve to know where they come from. If he chooses to be present, he's welcome. If not, they'll have everything they need. I built an empire on my own. I can raise 4 children on my own." The room applauded. Another reporter shouted, "Do you have a message for your ex-husband?" Elena smiled faintly and looked straight into the camera. "I hope he finds what he was searching for," she said. "And I hope he learns that true wealth isn't in money or power. It's in the people who stand by you when you have nothing." I offered him that. He chose differently. Marcus's eyes filled. He couldn't hear the rest. The cafe spun. He stood up abruptly, ignoring the stares. Sophia grabbed his arm. "Marcus, we can fix this," she pleaded. "If we go to her—" He yanked his arm free. "Fix this? You knew who she was, didn't you?" "I suspected," Sophia stammered. "I thought if I stayed close, maybe—" "You used her," Marcus snapped. "You used her, and you used me." People around them had stopped talking. Phones were out. Cameras recording. "You ruined the only thing that ever mattered," he said, his voice breaking. "And I let you." He walked out, leaving her speechless in the middle of the cafe. Outside, his phone buzzed again. A text. He opened it and froze. "The babies are due in April. If you want to be involved, we should talk. For their sake, not ours. Elena." He stared at the message for a long time, then typed, erased, typed again. Nothing he could say felt enough. That night, the charity gala became the most talked-about event of the year. Elena arrived in a sleek, midnight blue gown, glowing under the chandeliers. She was grace and power in one. The crowd parted as she walked in, and whispers followed her every step. An hour later, Marcus and Sophia entered quietly. But this time, no one looked their way except in judgment. Elena spotted them across the room. For a moment, their eyes met. She walked toward them, steady and composed. "Marcus," she said, her voice calm. "We'll talk tomorrow. My office, 10 a.m. About the babies." He nodded slowly. Then she turned to Sophia. "I hope you got what you wanted," she said coolly. "But we're not friends anymore. Not now. Not ever." The entire ballroom seemed to hold its breath. Later that night, Elena took the stage to announce a $20 million donation to the Children's Hospital, a wing dedicated to newborn care. The applause shook the walls. Marcus stood in the back, watching her, the woman he'd once called his wife, now untouchable. He realized then that some mistakes don't get second chances. Some loves, once lost, never return. And sometimes, the woman you underestimate turns out to be the most powerful person you'll ever know.